can the community have the support of your office as well as Councilwoman Payne's office to make sure that no presentation of the 28 acres master plan will be done without the community's master plan being a part of it?
Let me defer to Rob, because I guess I don't see any problem why this process can't be completed by February of 2010. Am I wrong in that, making that?
Yeah, if we're here 6 months from now and the community's plan and the Penguins plan are not in alignment, then you guys have enough time to do all the things you need to do to get it back. But the intent here really is to have us all as a team believe that there's an underscoring value there for everyone, right? And I think this is why it's an iterative process. This is why the community's around the table with the stakeholders who can drive it, to hash out all of these issues as it relates to what the right plan is. I'm hopeful that when the Penguins submit their master plan, the reason they have to do it in that aggressive time period is because they need to advance, they need to pull down parcels and develop to keep control of those things. So I'm hoping that you guys are there in full support, that we're there in full support, because they want to implement the next stage of the master plan.
I think, and what I would say is, if we're not ready by February 2010, it's not the Penguins' fault, it's our fault in this room, is what I would argue.
Well, I should probably speak for myself, because I know I wouldn't support any plan if we jump before the community. My record actually speaks to that. I never jump in front of them. So if the community isn't out there in front, then I wouldn't support anything other than the community being right in line and where they need to be. Everything else would be behind us, not in front of us. And my record speaks to that.
Well, that's a little different because the Isle of Capri plan, you jumped out before any community support on that. But that's neither here or there. What I'm saying,
I had support from the community, but I'm not going to argue with you.
I guess the question would be if there's any real support or statement from the mayor as well as Tanya. We heard Tanya's, your mayor's support to saying that if in fact the community is not prepared with its master plan process completed, that in February, at that point, if there is a request from the community to request the Penguins to hold up on their process, would that be, can they count on your support to have that happen?
I just think it's hard. They're not going to answer. So they may jump around the answer, but they can't really answer. It's really our job as a community. If the Pens are not putting forward a plan that's supportive of what this community needs, we have to organize to stop the plan. As we saw the arena development coming together, we had to organize to try to make sure there were benefits for the community. Bottom line is it rests on us as residents in this community to organize together and help the politicians do what we need them to do. Because the politicians will do what we need them to do if we're organized. But if we're not organized, they'll do whatever they want to do.
They gave away the development rights when we were organized, so.
Right, we weren't well organized at that point. That was our problem at that point. I mean, we can argue about at what point we were better organized, but we have to continue to stay organized, and we have to use this master plan, not to get a plan on paper, but we need to use the master plan to help better organize our neighborhood. Instead, sometimes we see the community benefits agreement wasn't to get all these 400 pages of paper. It was a way to help better organize our community, and we have to keep thinking about what helps us get better organized for the next battle. Because after we battle this out, we're going to have another battle, we're going to have another battle, we're going to battle on the 28 acres, we're going to battle on every developer that comes into this community just to make money but doesn't really see the residents. We have to make sure they see us. And that's on us, and I mean, all the politicians need to help us do that, but bottom line, our organization is what's crucial, and we have to be better organized because we're not well enough organized yet. And all of us need to put our shoulder to the wheel and make sure that the plan that comes out is a plan that benefits residents, no displacement. We have to come up with some more details, like if we're going to build housing, does some of the housing have to be affordable housing? Is there some percentage that needs to be set aside? If people are going to build other kinds of businesses, or they're going to have to employ people from the community, those are the same kind of issues we're going to ask of everyone, not just the Penguins, but all these developers. Any developer that comes in the community has to develop according to our vision. And if they don't, it's on us. I mean, if we're not organized enough to force them to move in the way we want to move, we just got to get better organized.
Carl, how long does it take to actually do a community plan like this?
There's 1,000 different ways to do a master plan or a community plan, so there's not one way. But on one hand, we're going to come up with some general visions on what we want to see in our community in the future. But At the end, there'll be a couple specific things, like there might be a particular area of the community, like the 28 acres, that's developed a little bit more intensely and has like design stuff, where other things might just want to say, like people on Heron Avenue want Heron Avenue to be a geothermal corridor. And it might be more detailed and have more design to it at the end, but it might just be, we want a geothermal corridor. It might not be detailed yet. We might have detail for Center Avenue. We might have detail for Fifth Forbes, but we might not have detail for Wiley and for Bedford. Or we might, you know, some things are going to be very detailed, but in a big part of our first steps are going to be visioning what we want for our community, much like we did in the community benefits agreement process, to look at the things we want and put them up. But we also have to consider our community in relation to the surrounding communities, particularly in terms of business development, in relation to Polish Hill, in relation to Oakland, in relation to downtown. We have to look at our community and how we relate to the surrounding communities if we're going to be a business draw. There's a lot of things we have to deal with, and we're going to argue through all this. I mean, and that's good. Argument is good, because that's how we move forward. We argue with each other, we come up with different ideas, and then we try to select what the best idea is to move forward. And that's what that's what this planning process is going to be. It's going to be a whole bunch of meetings where we argue. But hopefully at the end, we come up with a better product than we have now. It's real, and that's what organizing is about.
Yes.
Given the relative slow movement on this process, the community was ready with its draft of the master plan in January, and we're just now having the plan released. So I am concerned about, in terms of the URA, city planning, and the formal organizations, what is the commitment that we can get from them to move more quickly? Because we could have been started a long time ago, had those organizations moved more quickly to approve the plan.
We could get a master plan for the Hill done in a year's time, in 12 months, if we wanted to do that. My sense is there are people in the community that need to be heard, and that we need, you know, it's making sure that we provide a format and time for everybody without feeling rushed to do that. So at the end of the day, if we're sitting around the table and we want to set a bona fide end date of the master plan, and the next big process that we're going to hopefully not argue over, but have some great discourse over, is what's the engagement process. And once we define that, I think we can set a schedule. What we don't want to do is be at the end line, having people feel like they haven't had a chance to really participate in that. That's not, that would be a failure effort. So I still think there's a win-win out there. It's just the devil's in the details at this point.
All right, thank you everybody for coming. Appreciate your support and look forward to our work together to make this proposal become a reality in the Hill District. Thank you.